Hello, 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 my peeps. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Happy Saturday. Welcome to the Success Code Fireside Chats. And I'm your host. That's with the most. That's Lorna. And I'm the CEO of Accelerate Her. And I am super excited to be here with you this week. And you know how I start the show? I tell you about what the week's been doing. And I want you to tell me about what your week's been doing. This week has been, let me tell you something. There has not been a week so far since I started this show that it has not been a doozy. What do I mean by a doozy? It's like stuff is always happening. Stuff is always happening. But you know what? I've learned if stuff isn't happening, I'm not living. Ooh, yeah, that part. If stuff's not happening, I'm not living. So I am super excited to be here, alive, breathing, kicking. I did a walk this morning. I'm super jazzed up, and I'm excited to have my guest, Justine Reese, here with me today, my diva sister. Oh, by the way, y'all, if y'all not coming and following me on the Diva Network, you're missing out. You're missing out. We were just talking about that before we got on the show. The network is not just about networking. And that's the difference, right? The difference at the Diva Network is synergy. We have community. We have collaboration. We live in conscious behavior. Which is so important. We cause and create collaboration, right? And at the end of that comes the cash, right? So if you're not following us on the Diva Network, I invite you to jump in. If you want to come visit, we do Tuesdays at 11 a.m. Central Time. You can come visit, check out the network, see if it's in alignment. Y'all always hear me talk about alignment. If it's in alignment with what you want, because we are a generous community. We're all about community collaboration and sisterhood, right? So jump in and join us on this journey. So Justine Reese, this is my sister from another mister, and she is a serial entrepreneur. She gave me her bio, but every time people give me their bio, I don't read their bio because I know them, right? And Justine is not only a serial entrepreneur, she's really she's an empowerment vocal coach, but she's really all about you using your voice to get into your greatness, right? That's number one. And not only that, to make a difference in the world with your voice. So, and she does a lot of other things. She's a voiceover coach as well. She does voiceover for books and all those things, right? And she's a master connector. So, Justine, I welcome you to the Success Code Fireside Chats, and I'm excited for our conversation today.
Me too. Me too. And I don't get up early for most people, Lorna. So I'm on the West Coast. But
I love it. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much for sacrificing your Saturday morning. And so we're gonna have a conversation, just like we're on the phone all the time, y'all. So this is just an extension of that. We're gonna talk about a couple of things here today, but mostly it's probably gonna wind up being all around using your voice, because one of the things I've noticed about entrepreneurs, especially women, is that they're using their voice, and then they're not really using their voice, even though they're using their voice. Would you agree with that?
I would agree. Or there's this like underlying apology sometimes that we are completely unaware of. That's, I'm afraid to take up too much space, or I'm sorry. If you hear those words coming out of your mouth, or you hear one of your sisters constantly apologizing for things that you're like, what, you didn't do, that is a key clue that you're not in alignment, because you're not feeling your own currency and your own power that really lies within. And what became fascinating to me was, okay, I was using my voice for profit. I was using my voice to make money. And I was actually making quite a bit of money at one point. But I was not into this connection to the inner voice. And what I started to see is when people came in to learn what how to be a voiceover talent, they were putting this voice on for the most part. That's how they start.
Yeah.
I think it's about the sound, and it's never about the sound. That's not what
Yeah.
books jobs in anything,
Yeah.
and especially in voiceover. It's about the heart and connecting into that authentic heart and then bringing that forth in our voice.
Yeah, I love that. I know we jumped in right away, but one of the things I typically ask my guests as we're starting the show, just to set context,
Yeah.
and to hear where you are in that in the realm of success, is what does success mean to you, Justine? What's your definition of success?
Wow, I think what's fascinating about the definition of success is it's okay to mean something different to everybody.
That's yep.
And that
Yep.
is something that people always ask too, like if they're going to enter this industry of voiceover, they're like, well, how do I know I'll be successful? And then I have to break down the very same question. Some people in that industry, if I get 2 books on Amazon, I'm successful. If I make $100,000 in a national commercial, I'm successful. So that has to be, so I think what's most important is to figure out what is success. To me, it's tied to vision. It's tied to the long game vision. And if we do not know that vision, then we don't even know what we're shooting for. And that's where most people, I think, feel stuck. So
Yes.
for me, because I have spent a lot of time trying to picture what is it that I want and then making changes and setting boundaries and all that stuff along the way, it is to, at the end of the day, have left something I'm proud of behind on this earth, to be connected to the people I love, my family, my sisters, to not have any regret that I didn't, that I, we're always going to have regret. I heard something yesterday about sometimes regret. I want to have, oh my God, it was so good. And I don't even remember who said it, but it was something about, I want to have, I want to understand my regrets so I can do something about
Mm,
it. That's a whole other subject I'm very, very passionate about right in this moment
wow.
for personal
That's
reasons.
so good. That's so good.
I know, right?
I want to understand my regret so I can do something about it.
Mhm.
Interesting.
So in
I
terms
gotta
of
sit on
vision,
that one.
yeah, we're gonna sit on that, but let's come back to it. So I want to have, left something behind that feels purposeful. So when people remember me, they think about something that touched them. And I think that's why speaking and writing and using your voice, uh, if you touch one person on a show like this, you have had and sometimes you don't know. So when it gets to get reflected back to you, when you're in this game of whatever you're doing to have impact long enough, and people start writing back to you because they've seen you on something and you didn't expect them to, or something even bigger, and I think what I'm talking about,
Mhm.
things that are otherworldly, things that something that you said might have touched someone in a way that got them in a space, creating space for people to have conversation and connect. I
Yeah.
think that is success to me. Of
Yeah.
course, there is the ability to do things that I love while doing these things too, which is travel, have global impact. I've been able to go to Africa. I've been able to, I've been able to lead some retreats in Costa Rica, and I want to continue doing that. So having the world experience,
Mhm.
that is part of my success, but I always try and visit family inclusive of that, and seizing opportunities because I'm prepared, because I've spent the time preparing, and I think that's where
Mm.
people think things are just gonna come, abundance or manifesting is things coming to me, and I don't believe in that. I've heard people literally say that, and that's like, that's not what manifesting is. Manifesting is getting, and it's everything you're talking about. It's getting in alignment with your purpose enough that your output has something to do with what's coming back. So it's all about, what am I putting out in the world? Am I doing it in a way I can relate it back to voiceover? Because when I teach master classes, I try and tell students this, because they're learning and then they're getting very excited. And then they're always in fear about, well, what about when I start to look for work? And I'm like, keep having fun. The more fun you have in this booth behind this microphone is what's going to create the things that are going to come back to you, because people are going to hear the authenticity of your joy, and then they're going to want to hire you. And so I don't think that's any different in other industries. I think it's exactly the same. And that's where I wanted to make that shift from teaching voiceover to teaching everybody like how to use their voice. So, okay, so to distill it down, true success is where I get to meet my journey with my vision, that for me has a lot to do with belonging and connection.
Yes, I love it. I think we have a little bit of a challenge with my camera, or something feels frozen. My screen is frozen. I don't know what your screen is doing.
Your screen is frozen.
That's okay. So we're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep going because they can see us. See us through our voices.
I'll do whatever you tell me to do. I'm at your
we're gonna keep going. Sometimes I don't know what's going on with this thing today. Okay, so you said a lot of things just now, and I want to pick out a few pieces of it, because you said a lot of stuff that I also teach in my programs as well, but it's a universal concept, right? You started with vision. You started with output, input and output. It's all a formula, is what I heard you say just now. It's all formulaic, that if you start with your vision, keep the eye on the vision, stay in committed action, that's the output, then what comes back to you is what the success can look like, right? That's how you can determine what success is for you. That's so simple. It sounds so simple, yet it's something that is missing from a lot of people, because they actually do it backwards, right? They actually do it the other way around, which is the harder way to do it, right?
Well, or it doesn't work, or it doesn't work.
Or it doesn't work, right? And then the other thing I heard you say about using your voice, and I want to bring it to the forefront, using your voice, what I just heard you say, which is so important, because I study a lot of the greats, right? And I remember, I don't remember what was the name of the guy who said it. It was a Christian guy. He got sick, and he couldn't move out of the bed. So he was a preacher, and he couldn't go on a pulpit, right? So what he did was, instead of using his voice on the pulpit, he started writing books. So what I just heard you say is, using your voice doesn't necessarily mean that you got to be on a stage every day, all day, every day. It could be writing as well, right?
Absolutely.
There are other areas of output that you can use to. Can you share a little bit more about that? Because I think this is an important point that will actually lower the fear level of people using their voices, because there's so many people who write vlogs and who write blogs who are using their voices in that way, and you don't see them on a stage per se, like a Tony Robbins stage, but you do find them in on the written stage, right? So what other areas of output would you say are available for people to use their voice in a way that still has them leave that legacy, right? And impact people in the world?
So I don't think legacy has to be this big, grand gesture that, I mean, a lot of us want that. And I think that's when I suddenly realized, when I read my aunt's book and it was published on, on Audible, I was like, wow, this is the thing that I think I've always wanted to do, is leave my voice behind in something that, like, I'm so connected. It's this book right here, How to Make a Life. My aunt wrote this book, and it's 100-year generational story, and I narrate it, and we did it during COVID, and it's like forever that book is out there for my great grandchildren. They will be able to hear their great Aunt Justine reading her aunt's book.
Wow.
What? I'm done. I guess I did it. I'm satisfied. So that, for me, when people ask me, like, what's the thing you're most proud of? It's probably that. And I did her second book also called Street Corner Dreams. So that's for me. So we have to figure out what it is. But yes, writing, whatever you're doing, whatever your mode of of delivery, it can be the written word, it can be a conversation. Some of the people that we have gotten to study within the Diva Network, or that have just come in and dropped some nuggets on us. I mean, this is what I cannot say enough about being in a sisterhood that gets to meet weekly. I mean, for a while we were meeting daily, which was crazy, but it set some incredible groundwork for our connection. I have never met Lorna in person, and I am going to at our founders next month, which I'm so excited. So we have trips that we do, but this connection that we have formed that ripples out, this is the thing, that is the juice that can spawn creativity. So yes, writing, speaking, conversation. Sometimes it's going to be small. Sometimes it's going to be quiet, and no one is going to know.
Yeah.
And that is sometimes hard for, performers, right? We want to make a big splash. We want to hear, right? And so if we have these quiet conversations, like, is anyone listening? Is the tree falling in the forest and nobody sees it, And, but yes, that's when you are in alignment, as we spoke of, you're starting to live with purpose. And a lot of this, to me, does get into a little skosh of spirituality for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
In terms of something bigger than me. There's something bigger than me working. And I think when I can only speak for me, when I feel in alignment and things are happening, and I happen to be in one of those places right now where I do feel things are happening, but things are coming up. Things are coming up too. And that's where I can get into the piece around, I'm blocked, but do I know why I'm blocked?
Yeah.
Something recently came to me about an amends I am starting to feel ready to make. Some of this stuff gets back. I love 12-step programs. I am not an alcoholic. I came in through a 12-step program called Al-Anon. I'm not going to get into all that, but if there are 12-step programs for everything, literally. And I think to touch on there's some basic principles that are so beautiful. I am powerless over blank. I'm powerless over most things. I give my will and my life over to something bigger than me. That's a great one right there. I mean, how can you go wrong by realizing that? I turn my will and my life over to something bigger than me. Just that right there, that principle right there has helped me. And I didn't have that until about 5 years ago, when literally everything shifted in my life. Everything shifted in my life.
Wow. 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 That's powerful. That's powerful. That awareness alone is like the thing that I think that most people are missing in the world. Because I believe that they believe, and don't get me wrong, I'm in the same boat, right? We're all mirrors of each other, right? So just realizing that there's something bigger than me, and even using my voice in this way on this show, I don't know who this conversation is gonna touch when we finished here today. I have no clue, right? But the fact that I have the awareness that it's bigger than me, and that it doesn't matter that I know who gets touched. It only matters that they are touched.
Yeah.
Right. And as I'm saying this to you, I'm remembering a scripture that says, go out into the world. I think this is what that scripture meant about going out into the world, right? And make disciples, right? Disciples of, right? So it's an interesting place to arrive at in this season of awareness, to be able to say there's something bigger than us that is at work here.
And there's never been more platforms for us to easily send our message out there.
Right.
There's never been on the planet, more ability. One of the things I did in my life that I talk about a regret, but I never say anything's really a regret because there's a lesson always. And I think if we approach, anything in our life that if life is a classroom, I'm always learning something. And so, if I get a parking ticket, I'm like, well, okay, that was just meant for me to stop taking risks with where I park, or and I really do approach things that way, and that is part of where I get into like letting those regrets uh, lead you, or you have a great story to tell. And one of my great stories to tell is that I was making money in voiceover and I was doing well, and the thing that got in my way was fear. All of a sudden, when it was time to I got an opportunity to collaborate with another woman, which I love collaboration, and spend $65,000 on a franchise. Now, it was a marketing franchise, and it seemed like a great idea, and it was a great idea. The idea was to have a marketing available for anybody, sort of a walk-in kind of A class marketing firm for small business. Well, this was right on the verge of like Vistaprint and the internet going crazy. So the things that we were offering that were going to take time, people could get at the snap of a finger. And so our timing that was not in alignment. That
Mm-hmm.
decision was not in alignment with my purpose. But guess what? I didn't know my purpose at that point.
Mm.
I did not know, even though I was doing the thing. So the story for me about this is I didn't trust what was happening. I got completely stuck in fear, and fear keeps us stuck. And if we make decisions out of fear, we often make the decision. I'm not going to say it was a wrong decision. It was a decision that was not in alignment with my purpose, because at that very moment, I could have spent 1/10 of that money,
Mm.
$6,000. And by the way, I borrowed that $65,000 and I had to pay it back. I could have created another demo, a website. I could have done all the things that I was trying to help other people do for my voice, for myself. And I had the encouragement. I had an agent. I just wanted to get more into animation, but fear. So I got out of alignment. I went over here. I took a path. It didn't work out. Cool things happened. We started doing commercials for the LA Sparks, the women's basketball team. When I look back at that, I made a little sizzle reel documentary from that. Went nowhere, although it was almost purchased by who's the guy on Shark Tank?
Cuban.
Yes, Mark Cuban offered us
Mhm.
$50,000, and we're like, that's not enough money. We are not taking that.
What?
I'm not kidding. And people were not interested in women's basketball. People not interested back then in women's sports. Look at this now. Our story was of Lisa Leslie and Candace Parker. I mean, I still have that sizzle somewhere. I should pull it out. And
You
anyway,
should. Oh my God.
I know it's crazy. Yeah. Now I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go look for that. That would be
That's
really
a note, right? Make a note.
making a note. But again, like wasn't in alignment. However, cool stuff happened. Cool stuff happened. Things happened because of that decision. But now my story to anybody who wants to do something, you know, uh, just to be aware, am I making this decision out of fear, or am I making this decision out of love? Am I buying this house out of fear, or am I buying this house out of love? Am I selling my house out of fear or out of love? Am I marrying this person because I'm afraid my mom and dad are going to be mad at me if I don't, because I said I would, but something's off?
Yeah, or
And
I'm afraid to be alone.
oh my
Yeah.
God,
Oh, that
hell,
part.
hell to the
Yeah.
yes. That
That's a
kept,
whole nother that's a
oh,
whole nother show. Uh
yeah,
this is so good. Yeah, but here's the thing. I want to make sure you bring out that Lisa Leslie thing, because that could be right now. See, and I love that you brought that up,
me too.
Justine, because look how far back you did that, right? And now women's basketball is the thing,
No doubt.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it could be, and this is so good, right? This
Yeah.
is so good because in another conversation we could say that nothing happens bad,
Exactly.
even though it looks like it was bad.
Hmm.
It's not bad because you can actually use that now in your in the business. This is so good.
Yeah, and you think about, like, Running Point, Kate Hudson's show, which is not women's basketball, but it's about
Yeah,
women. It's about we are very interested as a culture right now and about women empowering women.
right.
Sometimes I feel like that phrase gets a little or that word is a little bit
Overused.
overused,
Uh-huh.
right? But it's truthful in terms of, we don't wanna come off as the bitch, the powerhouse. I think there was a time, and this is now finally shifting, but even greats that I have studied with, I'll name somebody right now that most people don't know. His name's Robert Augustus Masters, and he writes about shadow work. He writes
Mhm.
about the things that, and this is part of how I both help other people get into alignment and how I have myself had to look at all the hard stuff. The stuff we push down, the stuff that makes us drink, the stuff that makes us, go out and use things that are not healthy for us, not
For
good
our
for us.
bodies. Mhm.
Yeah, we
Mhm.
we overeat, we oversex, we over whatever. Obviously, I think those are things that we have to sometimes get to the point where we go to our knees. I'm like, "I'm not healthy. This is not good for me. I've gotta stop doing this." And some people can't ever get there, and I have witnessed that as well with people. But I think when you get to the point that you have to have that come to Jesus talk, you're on your knees, whatever it is, that
Mhm.
rock bottom is a great place to go. Most people don't ever have that moment, but if you can get there and rise from that, that is, how did I get on this? How did we go from women's empowerment to this? I'm not sure, but somehow there was a through line.
It's required. So we were talking about how just using I had said to you just coming back and knowing that nothing bad is happening to you
Yeah,
at the end of the day, because at the end of the day it can be used for good. That's how we got to this conversation.
okay. So, something that's hit me hard that I've done some writing around. In fact, oh no, it's not in this book, but there's a book called uh, Soul. I'll have it somewhere. Soul Shine, Shine My Soul Light. And I write about what I call the rainbow roadmap to forgiveness.
Hmm.
And it's about my relationship with my mother,
Hmm.
who I was really given a gift, and this was an interesting experience because my friend Mary Gooden, I'm talking about you, Mary. She's a publisher. She writes. She helps. She does. She leads retreats. She's a powerhouse. She's a speaker, and she mostly works with people about really getting in touch with your inner voice. But in writing, as you were speaking, as you were talking about another modem for getting your voice out there. And I think sometimes once you crack the door to creativity in any way, in anything, using your voice, writing, it just will bring more. Then you saw suddenly you're doing a podcast. Suddenly you're guesting on podcasts, you're hosting podcasts. Um, and I write about how I was had some anger issues with my mother most of my life until I could learn that I couldn't change her. I had to accept her for who she was. She was doing the
Absolutely.
she was doing the best she could. She was a trailblazing marathon running environmentalist, like just when people talk about my mother, she was bionic and literally they started replacing body parts, double knee surgery at one point at the same time in her 70s. Like nobody could get through that except her. And then she fought breast cancer for 8 years. Um,
Wow.
and she fought it to the point that we didn't think it was a threat in her life. I literally was like, "Oh, well, you know, she's fine." Until there was a moment where her oncologist we finally got to talk to the oncologist, and he said, "I've used 6 of my 7 cocktails. I'm on the last one, and this is gonna be the last one." And he said this to me and my brother, and we were like, it hit me like I'm like, "How did I not know that breast cancer was killing my mother?" You know why? Because she was living her life. She wasn't living like
Wow.
she was dying. And either she really didn't believe she was dying, which knowing my mother, she could have been in that much denial about it. By the way, this is a a little prayer flag somebody made for her.
Mm.
And but what I learned from her, I mean, I can't even tell you. It's only coming to me now. I'm gonna get a little emotional that when she passed away, I have started to feel her voice move through me. And what I realize is this tough trailblazer who, I'm sorry, made a lot of impact on a lot of people, often did not feel in alignment with her own voice. And
Wow.
I think it is my duty to, in some ways, let her speak through me. I like really feel her. It was a very profound experience with her passing that I spent a lot of time with her in quiet and solitude, or in her finally allowing help. My mother didn't want a hand lifting up to get on in a bus. She didn't want you to hold the door. I mean, it was annoying, to be honest with you, Mom. It was annoying. It was like, don't help me. I will do this myself. I will do this myself. And she did that till her dying day. It was like and that's why she finally left. I think when it came to the point that she couldn't do, she's done. She was done. They
That's
lived in a house.
interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting that you brought that up, because then if I had to tie that into using her voice, she actually wasn't. She was living her life, yes, to the fullest, but the fact that she wouldn't accept help, and what I just heard is she wouldn't ask for it either. Um, you could say that she wasn't using her voice,
Well,
right?
that's my point.
Yeah.
What I came to learn about her is she she was making an impact, though. She made a huge impact by the things she did, by her actions, by running marathons, by beating breast cancer, she was literally I gotta repost this. She was literally I had a girlfriend that was in San Francisco, and she goes, "What? Your mom's on a billboard." My mother was on a billboard, not
Wow.
for breast cancer. She was part of San Francisco State, uh, they asked her. I don't even think they paid her. She beat some other things. She had a heart ablation surgery, and which is actually not a really dramatic surgery. It's the electrical part of the heart.
Mm.
And I don't even totally understand it. My dad's a physician, but anyway, they put her on a poster because she cycled all over the city and into her 80s. She was on a commercial with Peter Sagan, who is a this was hilarious. She was on this commercial for an electric bike company where she beats a Tour de France winner, Peter Sagan, it's called Grandma Joan. You can look it up. You can YouTube it. It's freaking hilarious. And everyone's cheering for her. And that's my mom. That is my mom.
Wow.
And
So what I love that this conversation is here again, because um she's taught you so much, Justine.
I know.
Like, so she used her voice in a different way. So yes, she wasn't asking for help. She wasn't using her voice that way, but she was using her voice in the way she knew how to
Yes.
empower and impact other people. The fact that
Yes.
she did that, and the proof of the pudding is that you're here on this show talking about it,
100%.
and she was on a billboard and all this stuff. So she was empowering. I love this conversation because I think that this is allowing me in this moment and listen to this story from you, knowing that it's not just the speaking, it's
Yeah.
not just the tonality, it's not just the voice with the tone. It could be, you could use your voice with action as well,
Yes.
right?
This is
So
good too. You're absolutely right. And sometimes I think I'm a little caught up in for that part of my life is everybody. I think that's the forgiveness too. It's like
yeah,
everyone is allowed to do things to the best of their ability. And
yeah,
and we can expect different, we can want different, but at the end of the day, which I hate that phrase, but at the end of a life, we have to accept the person for who they are.
for who they
But if
are.
we can do that more in life and stop trying to change the world to fit my needs.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I didn't learn that. So I wasn't able to do that in my marriage. So I
Right.
don't need to blame my ex-husband for the fact that our marriage didn't work. And I
Yep.
don't need to blame myself either. I just didn't know any better. And when I
Right.
got to know better, I got to do better. And for me, and that doesn't mean I gave up on the marriage. I don't believe that. I don't believe that people give up on things that don't work. They might. For me, I did not. I did everything I could in my power to make that work. With the tools I had. I have so
Mm-hmm.
many more tools now. So if there's any regret, I wish I had had the tools that I have now then, because things might
Yeah.
have gone differently. I might have been able to
Yeah.
hear things differently. Mostly, I might have been able to communicate differently.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, it's all, I think it's all in perfect divine order, you
That's
know. It could, because I had the same experience. Can so relate with you, right? And it was, and maybe it was this week. I was, how I say, stuff was going, crazy, crazy this week. And I think it was at one point this week I got to sit down with myself because I had the same experience, thinking about, how my marriage didn't work, right? And one of the reasons was because I didn't use my voice in a way that was empowering. I
Yeah.
use my voice. I've always used my voice. That much I know. Because even when I was a kid, people would be like, "Oh, girl, you too loud." And it took me a while to actually own it,
Yeah.
right? And then in this marriage, I did not use my voice in a way that was empowering to myself or to my ex-husband, right?
Right.
And so for me, it's like it had to happen though, because uh I feel, and I think that the other side of that experience is the fact that had I not had that experience of not using my voice, which is why I say we have to look at things on from both sides, right? I always say there's no one-sided coin. If something perceived bad is happening on one end, the good is on the other side. So the good part about us having the experience of a divorce is that now we use our voices differently. And I don't believe that we would be even here in this conversation had it not happened.
I agree.
You see what I'm
100%.
saying? So
Everything that happened for me in 2020, which
yeah.
I literally needed a global pandemic to stop and be still.
And yep.
I needed a global
I'm
pandemic.
on that one.
Global pandemic changed my life for the good. I know it was a very traumatic time for people, but if I hadn't
Yeah.
had the permission, the global permission that said, you have to sit still, you can't leave your house unless you're by yourself. I found my introvert. I didn't ever know I had an introvert. I think we all have both.
Yeah.
One will lead, and it will always be the extrovert for me, and I'm not gonna apologize for that. But
Yep.
my introvert, I didn't even know I had one. And I sat still for the first time. I found meditation for the first time. I got to work from home, and I got to look at what was going on in my life. And I found the courage to utter the words, I don't know what's happening, but I know I'm not happy and I know you're not happy. So not focus on this. Let's focus on being great parents. Let's focus on being great
Yeah.
parents. And
Wow.
the response I got to that comment, however, was a good parent would have brought dinner home on time. I'm sorry, but that's the
I don't
truth.
mean to laugh, but
I
that
know.
that that
It's
shows
funny.
how disconnected it was though, right?
Exactly. And that shortly after that, um, I had to move out of the bedroom. And we were in a rental house, and that alone was killing me because we had been homeowners almost since the very, very beginning of our marriage. So the idea of paying someone else's mortgage was literally wrecking me on a daily basis.
Mm.
And the choice to sell the home was a big catalyst for me to know that I was not wanting to move on with this person, with this life in this way. So that moment was huge for me because I thought it was the worst thing that was happening in my life at the time. I just was because I was like, it was like literally, it was burning. Everything was falling down. I was just like, I don't know. I
Yeah.
felt
So let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Ask you a question. Was this the, because you have been in this business for a long time. How did that experience shift?
Oh, now I can't. I just missed you. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. You
Okay,
can't hear
good.
me?
You cut out for a second. Go ahead.
Yeah. So how did that experience shift how you chose to use your voice after the experience?
Massive. It shifted everything. It was my defining moment for sure. I as I sat still, I started to get the thing we started talking about in the very beginning of this. I
Mhm.
learned to figure out what my vision was. My
Mhm.
vision was I didn't want to be paying anybody else's mortgage. I wanted my own house again.
Mhm.
I started to visualize a house with a mountain view. I was like, "That's dumb. You're never gonna have a house with a mountain view. Are you moving to Santa Fe? What are you doing?" And then I thought, maybe I'm moving to Santa Fe. I don't know. Um, but I had been looking for homes, trying to figure out what to do. And then I got serious and I called up my realtor and I said, who's a friend of mine, and I said, Don't send me the assistant. Like I want to, I got to figure this out." And she was like, "Okay, I got you." And literally the next house I think I looked at was the house that I'm in right now. And there's this huge deck on the front, and you can see a mountain. And there's another deck up there where I have done sound bowls and meditations. And I want to do a lot more of it. And I just repainted it.
Nice.
And I felt serenity here. And that was the first word that came to mind. I mean, it's an older house. It had tons of potential. It wasn't perfect by any means, and I could afford it with the money I had.
Yeah.
And so that was the beginning of using my voice in a whole new way and having to say the very hard thing of, "I think we can't do this anymore." I
Yeah.
kept talking about separation, and he was like, "Why would we do that? Let's just get divorced." Because to me, separation was not the end. Separation was maybe going to, we'll find our way back to each other.
Right.
But that didn't make sense to him. Um, and so it was very painful for both of us.
Mm.
He packed his stuff up and left, and I had to move us out of that, me and my 2 boys. I had to move us out of that rental and get us over here, and angels came to help me. I really do believe that.
Wow.
Literally. And we got here, and there was that moment at first of like, if you've ever had children, the second trimester, they often call it the superwoman trimester, because you're so sick in the first trimester. The second trimester, you feeling good, you feeling
Yeah.
empowered, so they call it the superwoman. So I was in the superwoman trimester when I
Mhm.
moved in here, because I'm like, look at me, I've got my own house. Oh my
I
God.
did it.
I did it. And also I was in my business. I was feeling very empowered. I was teaching classes from home. I had done my first book that was on Amazon, which was really empowering. I started to do a podcast called The Voiceover Pod. Like, all these things were happening, but then it settled in, and understanding like, oh, now I get to, and now I have to find out who I am.
Yeah.
And
It's
luckily, I
Mhm.
was led in that moment of the pandemic to Insight Timer, and I found this amazing person leading me in meditations, Justin Michael Williams, who has become my mentor, my coach. I am now a certified. I'm a certified coach with him. In fact, I just got my master certification in the mail. This is the
Congratulations.
of certification, and I heard this guy. We could not be more different. right? He is young, black, and gay. I'm not old. I'm whatever I am, but I'm like, this person was talked because he started talking about vision and also what were you when you were a little girl? Go back to her. Whatever that is still in me. And that's the teachings that I do with Reclaim Your Voice. Let's go
Yeah.
back to when the voice was magical, when we played. So understanding that, and then also we got to look at the shadow, the pain that was caused by, I'll just come out and say it because I've already written about it. My parents came to tell us that they were going to have an open marriage when I was 9 years old.
Mm-hmm.
They did not know that that was going to be an incredibly damaging thing. They did not know that. They didn't do it. They did it out of their own, whatever
Oh,
their
yeah.
own self-preservation.
Right.
What I found years later and in my mother's passing is that I don't I don't know that she ever really wanted to do that. But that was the experience. That was the experience they had, and
Yeah.
that was the experience I had. And so, uncovering some of that later in life has been actually the greatest gift. And
Yeah.
that's what I wanna tell everybody. Whatever you have been through is your greatest gift to learn
Absolutely.
from, to give to somebody else, and that's where I don't wanna live with regret. To tie it
Regrets.
back
Yeah.
around to, and that's tied to success for me because I am already aware there's an amends I need to make, um, and I'm getting ready to make it, and
Yeah.
I haven't been ready,
Yeah.
and I don't wanna die with that on my heart,
Yeah.
because I've seen
Absolutely.
what that looks like.
Absolutely.
So that's success. That's
Awesome. 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 So we're getting close to the end of our time together. This has been a really great conversation. And, even for me, talking about and listening to some of your story and, and seeing how our experience has, I didn't really, well, I knew that, I knew some of the backstory that you just told me, but it just clicked that it was actually so in the same even timeline. I didn't
Yeah.
realize it was the same timeline as
Yeah.
well. So that's great to reflect back on it and how I have chosen to use my voice since my that experience for me. And um just seeing that there's no energy on it anymore. A lot of times we go through a lot of things and we still have energy on it, which is part of the problem why people don't still use their voice even after the experiences. So just bringing that awareness, right? Like
Yeah.
there's no more, I don't hear any energy on your part as well, and I don't hear any energy on my part. So yay, we're moving along, girl. We're moving
Moving
along.
along and we're clearing it, and I
We're
hope
clearing it out.
that gives a
Yes.
runway for other women in particular, because I think,
Yeah.
we can help a lot of people, but
Yeah.
because of our experience and
Yeah. Yeah.
our desire to be drawn to sisterhood, which is where
Yep.
the Diva Network and our local chapters are coming in, and
Yep.
they're blossoming. I mean, what I'm looking, I feel like I see this map and I see the Diva Locals chapters, like these little flowers, these little lotus flowers that
Oh,
are
that's so
blooming
cute.
all over the place. This is just coming
Yeah.
to me right now, but I would like, and what I'm having my first meetup in LA on Monday night.
Oh, I wish
For
I was
anyone who's
there.
listening to this in the West Valley, but it's for all of LA. We're gonna have chapters, Melanie Soloway's got West LA and I have West Valley, but I see this like, well, the way I want it to be is like, I'm traveling to Chicago. Oh my God, there's a Diva Locals chapter there. I'm going to go meet those sisters. I'm going to New York. Let me go see them. I got Florida. I mean, that's what's happening. That is what's
Yeah.
happening.
That's
I
beautiful.
feel it, and it's exciting.
I'm excited. Yep.
And
Yep.
bringing that community together, the unity in
Yeah.
that community.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a master class. I'm going to start doing them probably twice a month
Mhm.
around reclaiming your voice for purpose, power, and profit.
Yeah.
And
That's
this
perfect. I was just going to ask you a question about like for business women, like who want to be seen and heard, like what shifts do they get to make in their own psyche, and vocally, what shifts do they get to make? So I guess this is the solution that you're coming with the masterclass.
Yeah, 100%. And it's about all the things we've been talking about, and it does take a little bit of that inner work. You know, I really believe in that. Even if that's not your jam, I think if you want to come and look at this, go 2 feet in, because I do start to relate what's happening in the body, what's happening from our past. So that going back to that moment is critical. And it just so happens, you know, for me, it's a lot of times it is between like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, where we start to feel this freedom of whatever we love to do is sing, dance, play sports, speak our mind. And then somebody is starting to tell us, don't say that.
Right.
You really shouldn't say that. It's not nice. It might be a polite thing if you come from a certain culture. Women don't do that. Women don't say that. Or it was a teacher. Like for me, I have this funny story about I wrote a story in 4th grade, The Sexy Snowflake. Now that you know what was going on in my house, it might trigger something. Like it's funny now. And my teacher, Mrs. Fleer, with her horn rimmed glasses, I wonder if she's still alive, and her aquanet hair, she was like, "This is inappropriate, Justine. This is an inappropriate," where she calls my mother. What did my mother's like, what's the problem? You know, but so my mother had my back. That is one thing. Like nobody, but for the first time, how do I remember this with such vivid clarity? Because it was the first time I did something beautiful and fun and creative that someone said, nope, not okay. And then in 5th grade, I was in a gifted program. So there's a lot of real smart people around me. I should never have been there. Not a good choice for me. Again, forgive my parents. They didn't know any better. I was the youngest one in the class. I barely got into this gifted program, like by a half a point IQ, whatever, in the test. I was told I couldn't be in the school play because my grades weren't good enough. All I wanted to do was be in the play. That's all I cared about. So now what's the message? You're not smart.
Not good enough.
And you can't be creative. You're not creative. You're not creative and you're not smart. So guess what I became? Pretty. I was pretty. I was being modeled at my house, maybe not a lot of value on my body, right? I got into high school and I was with the popular girls. I made it my business to be with the now, I had great friends and I did have sisterhood. I will say those popular girls were cool. They really were fun. But I thought they won't accept me if I do theater, which is really what I wanted to do. Too afraid. My parents forced me to go to drama camp. See, now my parents did great things. I didn't want to go. I was like, I'm not going to be one of those crazy drama people. No way, I'm not going. And then my mom was like, you're going. I'm like, well, what if I hate it? She goes, you can come home. Very smart, Mom. So of course I went, and then I never wanted to come home. And it literally, it changed the trajectory of everything I did after that. So
wow.
Remember moments like that. Anything I felt about my mother, I'm like, but her intention was always good.
Always.
Always opening my mind to new things. She's never one thing. None of us are one thing, right? None of us are one thing. So anyway, that's kind of that. I want to take people back to those moments, because when we can recognize those moments, we can free ourselves from the trauma and pain and get back to the magic and know you don't have to get stuck. And I've literally had women, I did this retreat in Costa Rica called Edge of Discovery, Reclaim Your Voice. And we were on rafts experiencing the water and the fear maybe, or the zip line, and then going back into meditation and going, how does this relate to my own life? And I asked this one woman, I tried to take her back to a magical moment in childhood. And she literally, when we were done, she goes, I can't remember anything I liked.
Wow.
We kept talking. And she started talking about Chinese New Year. And she goes, oh my God, Chinese New Year was so great. We would go to each other's houses. I got new clothes. The food was amazing. And I was like, that sounds like a good childhood memory. And her eyes got so wide. She was like, oh my God.
She forgot. Wow.
She needed to tap in. So we don't know ourselves until we give ourselves the stillness.
Permission and space. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So if you know that you've been stuck, not using your voice, you've been silenced, you've been shaky, you've forgotten who you've been, this is an opportunity, y'all. Opportunity to step back, be still, tap back into that childhood wonder, and just imagination, and just go back to the beginning, not to relive the trauma,
Right.
but to remember who you were before. I think that us as adults and as business people, we forget, and we get into that grind, and it becomes so like automatic that we
Going.
just disconnect from ourselves, right? So using your voice in multiple ways. Thank you, Justine, for being here and shedding light on, how we can get back to that, right?
Yeah.
Because it's
Yeah.
so important.
And
So
I will
important.
hopefully I'll provide a link for you somewhere where for that
Yes,
workshop or how
you're
to
gonna
get
give me
in
a
touch
link.
with me.
Yep, yep,
100%.
yep. We'll do that. So what's one thing that you would love to leave? Just one quote, one phrase, one sentence that you would like to leave with the audience today?
There's two that I go back and forth with, but I think this is the one that's drawing to me right now. It's by Anais Nin, and the day came when the risk to remain tight in the bud was more painful than the risk it took to bloom.
Whoa. Whoa.
And you want to find that moment where you're just like, I'm not myself. I'm like this, and I want to be I want to be that, because
Yeah.
that's how I can touch people. And then I can receive too.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This has been
Woo!
a great conversation. I'm so glad that you were a yes to come on here, and I can see us doing a lot more of these because there's
Me
so many
too.
there's
I
so many
want to do
offshoots that I
more.
heard come up.
Yeah.
Huh?
I want to do more. This is just the beginning.
Yeah, this is just the beginning.
Yeah.
So to the audience, thank you for those who were online live, and for those of you who are watching on the replay. We had some technical difficulties, but I figured as long as you can hear us, and I think you can see Justine. I think it's my computer that's frozen. So whatever that is, that's just a glitch. I want you to listen to the words. Those are more important, because that's what we're talking about, right?
That's what
Using
we're
your
talking about.
voice.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
using
Yeah.
your voice even when the camera is off. This was so good.
That's
Such
what
a
I'm
good.
used to, right? That's what I'm used to in voiceover. You only
Yeah,
hear the voice. So for those of you
yeah.
that love audiobooks, there's a lot of wonderful things out there. But if you want to find on Audible, you just type in my name and you'll see the podcast. You'll see several books that I've narrated, and just listen to samples. See if there's something that touches you. I've talked about everything from divorce to historical fiction.
Mhm.
And it's been so fun.
Yeah.
I love, love, love it. And I'm finishing a book called Walking on Fire, where I get to speak a lot of Greek. So that's been fun. That's been fun. I love
Ooh,
doing that.
that's amazing. I've considered voiceover, but I'd say I'm using my Jamaican accent. I probably have to find a book that is about a Jamaican so I could do it.
Oh, girl,
You
we can
know,
hook that up. There's an
yeah,
audience for that for sure.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. This has been an amazing conversation. Remember to like, subscribe, and share this video, and go back and check out the other ones that we've created on this channel so far, because you're gonna, let me tell you guys, I'm bringing people to you who are in the trenches, who are doing life, and who you get to be empowered by. So go back, like, share, and subscribe, and keep coming back, and share with us in the comments what your takeaways are. And if you have questions, and if you want a certain person to come on the show, put it in the comments. I'll do my best to bring them on. And if they're going to come on, you got to bring the questions though. So don't
Love
let them
that.
just come on just to come on. If you're making a request, I'm going to get them here, but you've got to be here as well. So thank you again, Justine, for being here this week, and we will catch you on the next one.
And a flippity flop. Thank you so much, Lorna.
All right.